Welcome to Gaia Love, a podcast to guide you home into your human journey here on Earth. My name is Vivienne Gerard, and it is my delight to co-create with Gaia and share our messages from Source in this now moment. Here we go. Episode 400. Episode 400. I am still a little surprised when I say that out loud. I'm like, 400 times I've sat down and tuned into the space and shared. Yeah, 400 times. That is a very consistent practice. I was just looking up because I can't remember when the first episode aired, and it was June 19th of 2018. And I just think about in 3 years, like how much has shifted in my little world, my little corner of the universe right here. And then in our planet, how much has shifted on our planet in the last 3 years. I mean, nobody could have guessed, I didn't guess that we would be at this time in humanity, and yet here we are 3 years later. So we're going to probably be doing some looking back and looking forward and sitting in this moment in today's episode. I'm also very aware of my time because I am running late this morning and I have my energy gym call at 12. So we've got about 30 minutes together, and then I will need to move into that next space. I also have my door open. I guess I should say it's Friday here in Cincinnati. It's gorgeous. The temperatures have dropped, just like I'm sure for many other places. August was so hot. We had all these days of over 90 degrees and humid and sticky and ugh. And then all of a sudden it just switched and we have cool, beautiful temperatures. The sun is shining. The leaves are just beginning to change here. It was too nice to keep the door closed. So I have my office door open, and you will hear the sounds of nature, and you will also probably hear the sounds of the cars that are going on the road down below. We are at the top of a hill, and so all the sounds from the valley just come up and sound 20 times louder than they actually are. So, yeah, 400 episodes. I'd forgotten. Isn't that so funny? This morning, I was just thinking about what I wanted to talk about. And then this flash of awareness came like, hello. I'm like, oh my God, 400. That's right. That's right. So if you are new to my space, welcome. Might as well just step right in at 400, 401 and see where we're going to go next. If you have been with me through any or all of the previous episodes, this is a moment of sweet satisfaction is how I'm feeling. Like, I've really done it. I set a goal for myself of showing up and sharing my journey and tapping into what Gaia would communicate with us and guide us, right? That was my overall intention for Gaia's Love, was to be this consistent, steady voice of the love that I know is possible here in this planet, the love I have for humanity, the love I believe our planet has for humans, the love that Source has for all of us, and to just translate that love to the best of my ability each week. And then bring in, well, first it was daily. Remember that? 5 days a week I would sit down. They were shorter and they were not video, but that was quite a practice and a commitment. And then to share like how it feels to be a human at this time through the past 3 years. What has it felt like in my journey, in my life, to experience the energies as they've been shifting, and then to translate them and create a bridge where perhaps you see something different or new in your journey based on what I'm sharing in my journey, which ultimately is the point, right? The point of this human experience, I believe, is connection and doing it side by side. There's gonna be so much moving today. I'm just gonna pop right through all the thoughts as they come through. I just saw this image that I experienced last September in a ceremony, I remember just this feeling of, like, I called it flow. I did a podcast right after that, I believe, where I talked about flow, that there's this current of energy that is always present, always carrying souls through whatever experience we have here on earth or anywhere in the universe in consciousness. There's just this current of flow that moves us, and we are either carried by it, or sometimes we hold ourselves in resistance to it, and we get, stuck and locked into a certain pattern or frequency or belief, and we grip and, dive into this thing we will not budge on as the car flies by. And what happens with flow, what I was trying to translate in that episode, was, we have these agreements, I believe, as souls in human bodies to constantly be supporting each other in our evolution. And so when one gets stagnant, the others kind of come and nudge and, gently touch the others and go, hey, remember, we're supposed to be in motion. We're supposed to be flowing. And hopefully we kind of keep each other moving in this current of energy that is consciousness, all source, the creation. We are in movement. And so sometimes we pause and we rest. Sometimes we get, locked up really tightly and grip and hold on. But my experience in that ceremony was that we magnetize towards ourselves those who can kind of nudge us out of that stagnant moment and bring us back into the current of creativity and flow and energy. It was so beautiful the way that I saw it and then physically felt it in my body. And I bring that into everything that I create, all the work that I do. It's to just constantly be this source of energy and motion in whatever ways that moves through me. And this practice of showing up for the podcast each week holds me accountable to my own awareness, to my own learning, to my own growth. It's not even the word, it's not even growth. To my own expanding awareness, to constantly just be learning more about who I am as a soul and what I'm here to experience and create as a human, and what co-creation looks and feels like. That's the journey for me. That's my soul's journey. And this playground of Gaia's love has been just so much fun. So much fun to share and invite you into this flow, this creative adventure that I am taking. Yeah. Flow. I guess episode 400, that's not the title, but the energy feels like flow. It's a reminder to myself and to all of us that we are here to be in motion. We are here to be contributing, to be creating, to be part of the new that is always birthing through us. And when we are in that flow, so many people talk about flow state. When you're in flow state, and ideas are popping and things are coming together and the energy is just moving, it is the most alive, exhilarating way to experience the soul in the human form. It's so good. It's just so good. And if you have been in that state before, which I can't imagine humans have never experienced that, I have to believe we all have moments of that inspire us to come back to it. But when you've been in that creative burst of new forming through you, that it's not even a high, that life force that is moving and expressing through you it's the highest drug. Some people talk about sugar or caffeine as an addiction, or pot or mushrooms, or psychedelic. The feeling of life force, being so alive with your own soul's creative energy in your human body, that is the greatest high that I believe exists. And and I believe many people chase that through artificial means. When when you felt it and you experience the results of it, you create something that is exhilarating to you to witness or experience or to share. When you've had that feeling of it, the the work becomes, how do I create the pathway so I can do that more consistently? Yes. Did I say that right? It feels like I said that right. That was a very specific phrase from my soul, my guides to you. The work becomes, how do I create the pathway to do that more often, to experience that life force inside of me more often? For me, meditation has been the pathway. Being able to sit in my little meditation area over there and bring my energy into my body and connect to the deepest, most powerful creative source of the planet, and then to feel energy moving around me too, to experience like the voices. That's how it feels to me. Like I hear the voices of my guides. I sense the words that they would be wanting me to hear in my ears. They're sharing the vibration, the guidance to me directly. And then I sit in meditation, and I don't know another word for it. I mean, we call it meditation, but harmony. It's like this inner harmony where my body is strong and rested and not fidgety, just still. My mind is observing the process that is happening inside of my inner being. My mind is like, oh, and now what? And now what? And it's clearing the thoughts that are distracting me, and it's just honing in on what is it that the soul is putting you in this position to be able to hear. And when I come to that inner quiet, I can hear so much. I can hear my own soul. I can hear my guides. I can feel source. I can hear Gaia, the consciousness that is our planet, Gaia. I can feel what she is experiencing, and I can put words to it. It's like everything comes to this, right? This quiet knowing, absolute knowing. And then my voice can just express that. And so for a long time, that was in my phone, in audio, in my meditation area. Just blah, 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 blah. All these things coming into my phone. My phone was filled with magic, and I would transcribe and, write books and create things. And now this podcast, the podcast has been that also, just this free flow of energy when I'm in that still space. And now I'm adding this video component to it. It's like the next level for me of, can I, and I can because I'm doing it, can I sit in my body with a camera filming what my what my hands and what my face and what my body is doing, and can I still be in absolute listening and stillness as I translate the energy, not to be distracted by what is happening around me? Yeah. Yes, I can. And here I am. And it's so fun. It's so fun. So, yeah. Why did we start on that? Meditation and flow state. Oh, that's what I was saying, that the ability to do that, the process, like what is the pathway for each of us to that place of inner flow, of inner alignment? What is the pathway that gets us there? Those are even weird words. Gets us there to the inside of ourselves. But I think you understand what I mean. How do we access that inner quiet knowing consistently at any moment, whenever we feel that we need to be in that sanctuary inside? If we rely on outside tools, the guru, the person, the meditation guide who exactly knows the words to say to get you to that place. Like if we rely on something outside of ourselves, drugs, whatever, then that has to be present to bring us to that. And then we've got this crutch. It's like we create a triangle that has to bring in this other component instead of this straight line from source to me to the earth, just this um, inner what? Dialogue, inner conversation. Like we're sort of sidebarring outside of ourselves to bring ourselves here. Did that make sense? So I believe in meditation gurus and teachers. I believe in guided processes and teaching ways that help people to discover their process, their pathway. I believe plant medicines are an incredibly powerful tool that teach us that that's possible. They teach us how to access that story or that voice that will show us the way to ourselves. I believe all of these are tools, and for me, the mastery of that is to be able to sit in this space with no tools or crutches needed, just this process that I move through before I make each of these videos, just a quiet meditation, for the use of the word that serves best, meditation, to sit in meditation and then to come here and to express what has come through me, what I'm feeling moving through me, to flow the energy to you with nothing that is required to do that except my own awareness and my own listening and my own trust in my process. So it's taken 400 episodes for me to get here, to be here in this moment, and to be completely unattached, right? Like, I like my office door open, so maybe it's going to have some loud noises and that might be distracting to you. Okay, well, I like my office door open, so that's what we're going to do, right? I like doing it on different days of the week. Some days Wednesday, some days Thursday, some days Fridays. Sometimes I play hooky and I want to go swim in the pool. It's just how I am. And so I'm flowing with what lights me up, what carries me with joy and delight through this creative process. And I trust that because I'm trusting my own flow, because I listen to what most serves me in the moment, that message, that vibration, that frequency that I hold of just absolute inner alignment and trust and certainty that all is perfect, that translates to you, and you receive from my relaxed, chill flow whatever it is that most serves you. This is me nudging, bumping into you if you're already flowing, or you if you're stagnant and not quite sure, what's next. Here I am kind of bumping and going, hey, let's look at your process. What is your process? Do you have some crutches, or are you able to just close your eyes and come all the way inside of yourself and discern the voices, discern the energies that are always around you, wanting to support you, wanting to guide you? And it's tapping on your shoulder and going, hey, you need to go this direction. Or you're kind of like spinning in a loop over here. Let's ground. Let's breathe. Let's clear some of the clutter. What's happening inside? There's always all this love around us that wants the highest and the best for us. And often it's our mind that is doing this thing, or the body that's so depleted and exhausted and nutrient deprived that the body can't sit still. It's too fidgety or overstimulated, overexhausted, overwhelmed that when we do sit down, the body is like, can you hear everything I've been trying to say to you? And so the body's yelling and screaming at us, and the mind is trying to manage the body, and there's no room for the soul to come through in that space. So maybe today's episode is kind of a little bump and nudge for me to you to say, what's happening in your body? What's going on in there? Have you felt your organs, your skin, your back, your legs? Have you rested your neck? Have you closed your eyes enough? Have you have you blocked your ears or shut your mouth or opened your mouth to speak what needs to be said? The body is, it's so powerful, it's so complex, and yet we often just ignore it and put it over there or push it out in front of us or drag it behind us just to get through the day. And time accumulates that trauma to the body, that abuse of the body. So interesting, because if you listened to me last week, I was talking about being in that moment on the basketball court and closing all the noise and the guidance from coaches and fans and whoever, so that when you stand holding the ball, knowing you have to make the next move, the move is going to come from that inner trust, from that gut feeling that says, do this thing now, put your foot here and go in this direction. And I was saying last week, like, I'm still sitting here not quite sure which direction I need to go in next. I know there's lots of options, and how do I, and this is specifically for my work, how do I choose which foot to put down and which direction to go? And last week in my quiet time, in my listening time, when my body was still and my mind was like, what's going to be said by the soul? It was so clear, like the one right next step for this moment is to start talking about light medicine. I don't know if you have followed what I've been doing, but last year when quarantine started with COVID, I created this whole package of healing resources for the mind and the body and the soul called I Am Light Medicine. And so last week my soul's like, it's time, like people need some support, their bodies are suffering, like we got to help bring people into alignment. And so light as medicine is a resource to support everything you're already doing for your body. So you need to drink your water, you need to take your medicines, whatever you're taking, you need to see your doctors, you need to work out, you got to do all those things you got to do, and add in light medicine, empower yourself to bring light into your body. And so I wrote this article that I'm going to send to some national, hear my throat, some national magazines online to have them share it and get the word out about light as medicine. But as I'm sitting here talking about the body, it feels like a reminder also here. We have, just like I was saying, I have learned to meditate, and it's taken lots of tools and resources for me to get to the place now where I can just drop right in and feel the energy and the words and the guidance and trust that flow of consciousness. So lots of tools help me get to that place. With the body, there are so many tools that we have at our disposal now as humans to help us understand the body better, to empower us to be connected to our body. I mean, top of my head, right? Yoga, Pilates, Qigong, walks in nature, Reiki, chakra work. I mean, I could go on. There's Ayurvedic there. I mean, there's just so many ways that sciences and practices that can show us the glory that is the body, the mystery and the magic that is the body. And so light medicine is one more of those tools. It's how do we see the light that we are within ourselves, and then connect to the universe and bring in more light, bring in more brilliance to whatever our symptoms are that we're experiencing in the body. How do we bring light to our ears, to our eyes, to our heads, to our stomachs, to our breath? And so that's my one right next step. is to really start talking and sharing about light medicine and, you know, all the other things I do, the podcast and the gym and sessions and blah, 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 blah. But the light medicine feels like what can be of great service right now on our planet is empowering individuals to be their own best guide by showing ways that you can play with light, you can play with visualization, you can use color to heal. So I feel like I needed to tell you that because I've been talking about what am I doing next? What's that one right next step? Where am I putting my foot down? I'm putting my foot right down with light medicine at my back and on my shoulders so I can hand it over and share it with everybody. So that's the one right next step. Okay, what else were we going to talk about? It's so funny, my guides gave me all these different messages right before we started. I guess I'll explain the title. I'll talk about the title a little bit. So I was doing my crystallizing process that I think I've shared before, where I just bring light into my body and I activate each chakra with like crystal energy. And I was in the root chakra, just seeing red, ruby red energy just vibrantly moving through my root and like expanding and stretching and filling up my root chakra and allowing it to be wider than it's ever been before. And right as I was doing that, I could hear in my head, like in the blink of an eye, I was like, oh, okay, the title for today. And what do I do with that? What do I do with the blink of an eye? So here's how it's feeling to me. It's like everything can change in the blink of an eye. And I believe many of us associate that with negative, right? Like life was going along fine, and in the blink of an eye, it all changed. And the connotation or the feeling behind it is, and now it's not so good. Now it's worse. Now they're suffering and pain. And we have probably, many of us or all of us, had moments where in the blink of an eye it has changed to something bad, maybe even something terrible, something traumatic, or something devastating, that the path of the life is completely changed to a new trajectory. You know, as I sit in this moment, I just think of what's happening in Afghanistan. I think of what's happening with Hurricane Ida as the energy of the hurricane has moved through our country. There's so many ways in which life can drastically move in a direction that feels in the moment like it could not possibly be a good thing. It was good and now it's not good. There was a moment I had in a ceremony, a plant medicine ceremony years ago, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. And I was, maybe longer than that. And I was sitting on the floor in a conversation with two people and fully present, having the most beautiful dialogue, feeling like we are totally connecting heart to heart and healing all this trauma from our families and lineages. Like, this is just the most beautiful thing. And in a blink of an eye, one stood up and walked that way to a conversation with somebody else. One walked that way to make a cup of water or coffee or tea or something. And I was sitting on the floor by myself. And I remember going, what happened? what just happened? We were here, we were all connected, and like in the blink of an eye, what just shifted? And the one person turned and looked at me and said, the reality changed. No big deal. Reality shifted. And then turned back and continued on. And I was like, oh, well, reality sure shifted very quickly. And I wasn't part of saying that I wanted the reality to shift like that. So why exactly am I experiencing this shift in reality? I didn't stand up and walk around. I stayed right here. You all moved, but I'm still in this moment. Like, what? It was such a profound teaching moment for me. It was so profound. And that was the first thought that came the first image that came to mind when I heard the title in the blink of an eye. Because what I could feel was co-creation individuals coming together and creating together is always all of us. And on this planet, there are billions of souls in human bodies, all constantly co-creating together. And each one is going to be choosing different next steps. Each one is going to be choosing different realities. And when one chooses a reality, it naturally bumps into the other who may not have chosen that same reality. Where we get caught up is what I was feeling in that moment. Like, hey, I didn't choose this reality shift. You all did. And I'm sitting here and you're on to whatever. And why, how did that happen? And that doesn't feel fair. It doesn't feel like I was a part of that decision making. And now here I sit while you're off doing what you're doing. It has taken me years to process and integrate and understand in my real waking life without tools such as plant medicines, to sit in my reality and go, even that moment of sitting still was my choice to not stand up and walk with or go in a different direction. My choice was to sit, which then created that reality for me of feeling left behind, of feeling wounded, of feeling like what happened, victimized, right? That choice to sit still was part of the co-creation. And I believe this is why it comes back to that idea I started with of flow. There is a learning that happens even in the stagnation, even in the moment of gripping and holding on or sitting in one place or being still. There is learning that is happening even in that. The soul, mind, body are doing something. And maybe we don't understand it at that moment we're experiencing it. It took me years to figure out, like, my choice to sit still in that experience is teaching me even now about co-creation. And so we're unraveling always, all the time, these layers, but we're all part of it together. We're all part of that. Everyone uses the word soup. Soup is such a weird word. We're all part of that whole energy that is human life on earth. Souls in human bodies playing in the energy field of Gaia. We're all part of that, no matter where we sit within all of those experiences. And so what's the big message I would offer? What I feel as I sit at episode 400, what I feel inside of me is there's always going to be choices and currents and movement of energy, and trying to follow all of them all the time, to me, dilutes or diffuses my ability to offer the most creative energy. And so I can't track. I could if I wanted, I guess, but I choose not to track every single thing that's happening everywhere on the planet all the time. I choose to be in my flow, in my reality, in my way of expressing and moving here in this one human body known as Vivienne, the soul, the big wide soul that's in this one experience. And so I'm just going to trust where that takes me, and consciously be choosing when to stand up, when to sit down, when to pull the covers over my head, and when to go take a day and play and dance outside. I just keep trusting this right next step and this right next step. And sometimes that means there's lots of co-creation happening because it's an energy that there's lots of matches to. Sometimes it means I'm sitting by myself and deep in my own inner world, and there's no external voices, and they're all perfect. All the choices are perfect, and they're all creating. I am creating my reality, whichever way I choose to take it. And so when there's co-creation, that, so for example, like the moment in that plant medicine journey where someone gets up and moves away. Sometimes co-creation feels like that. Like there's this sudden the feeling of in the blink of an eye where it's negative, like, oh, this thing happened. What do I do? Right now, what? Now what? In those moments, that's where my practice is the most powerful. That's where pausing and coming into center and just taking a breath and observing, just witnessing, like what's actually happening here. It's all my reality. It's happening because I'm in this whole energy field of Gaia and we're all bumping into each other all the time. Why is that showing up for me right now? Why is my attention, my awareness directed in this one area? What is there for me to understand, or what new awareness is trying to reveal itself to me? So I breathe. I just breathe through that. And the awareness comes. Sometimes it takes a little while. Sometimes I have to sit for a while or totally just turn something off in my mind because I'm looping. My ears start to ring. I'm looping, and so I need to stop and just shift my energy and play or rest. Or often for me, it's like, go to bed, go to bed. Anything you say right now is not going to be productive for anybody. You're tired, you're depleted, you're exhausted, go to bed. And so I go to bed. And often the next morning I wake up, I'm like, oh, I feel so much better. Like my body and my mind just needed that overnight time. Or maybe I just need to sit with someone I love and say, just hold me, like, it's too much going on. Right. And so I come into that quiet space again, and I'm clear. And then I'm guided into whatever the next step is. The human journey it's so complex. It's so intricately beautiful. It's so powerful. It's so demanding of all of our focus. This human reality that we all are creating for ourselves and expressing and bumping into each other with, like, there's so much here for us. And if we can just relax into it and realize maybe we can't do all of it all the time, but if we trust how we're guided and we go fully into each of those moments and we feel and we savor just the incredible gift that this life is, we're creating one moment of wonder after another. Like this moment right now with you, where I just got to share all these things. I didn't know what I was going to share about episode 400, but I've like pulled back a veil and showed you another layer of myself, and it feels really good to do that. And now you get to sit with, well, what does that bring up in me, and what do I take from all of that? And then maybe you take that into conversation with someone else. Like there's all these moments of wonder. And if we allow ourselves to be fully in each one, right now, hearing the sounds of nature, it makes me so happy. And seeing the sunshine coming in my office, looking around, like I love the colors. I painted this office. I love that my Buddha is sitting on the wall under the chandelier. Like there's so much beauty and joy and amazingness in each of the moments I allow myself to be fully in. And so my intention, I guess I'll claim it now as we sit at episode 400, and I'm almost out of time because I have to go to the gym, the energy gym, not the gym. I always feel like I have to clarify that. My intention is to just keep creating more of these moments of wonder and sharing them, expressing them, and allowing us to revel in the human experience. Gaia's Love is the playground of that for me. It doesn't feel like work. There's like no attachments or hooks to this space for me. It's just pure consciousness and love streaming from me now through the video or out through the audio to you. It's like, here, take it. Like it's so sweet. And yeah, so my intention is to just keep creating more and more and more of those moments of wonder that I can bring here and share with you, and that my reality just becomes more vibrant, more satisfying, more delightful, lots of surprises, but like in the blink of an eye, good surprises. You know, those moments where like you decide all of a sudden, or me, I decide like, oh, I gotta go get ice cream. And then you get the ice cream and you're sitting there and you're eating the ice cream. You're like, oh, I love ice cream. And it wasn't in my plan, but in the blink of an eye, I went, I got it, and here I am. Or, when my husband shows up unexpectedly at home and I'm like, you're home. The blink of an eye moments like that are so good. They're so good. So let's create more of those and start to release the old beliefs, the old story, the old attachments that in the blink of an eye means negative, or it means pain, or it means suffering. What if in the blink of an eye means joy, like sweet bliss? Yeah. Let's have that as our intention. And there's my little do-do-do reminder. Time to go. All right, I have to get ready. It's so exciting to be in this moment with you, and thank you for showing up and witnessing and just allowing me to be who I am and play in this way with you. It is the holiday weekend here in the US, so I send blessings to all, and just so much love. So much love.
Thank you for tuning into this vibration of pure love. I invite you to join me in Viv's Energy Gym, where we are building a community of leaders in this new earth, exploring infinite embodiment, the soul aligning harmoniously with the human body and mind. You can learn more at mysouljourney.com. Let's take this message of Gaia's love out into all of our relationships and communities today. So much love from my heart to yours.